Hello.
And welcome to Sort of the Story. I'm Janey.
I'm Max.
And we're here to tell each other some stories. And also
you are here.
Welcome. Great. We've nailed the intro. We've graduated.
Aw.
Yeah. The podcast is over now. That's why we were doing this.
I always got stressed out, like, in graduation scenes when they throw the cap up. Because those caps are, like, $30. Like, what if someone just goes home with two and then someone else is just out a cap?
I was nervous when I graduated with mine because we didn't do the cap throwing ceremony, thank God. Oh, because I didn't go to the actual ceremony. I just walked.
Yeah.
But we didn't... I've never thrown a cap up because they're hard cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna come down and fucking nail you in the eye.
Yeah, they're gonna take someone's eye out. Yeah.
No, it's not cool. It'll take your eye out.
It's very stressful. This is something that in movies I was like, gosh, I can't wait to graduate from high school and do this. And then by the time I got to high school, I was so full of anxiety that I was like, God, I'm gonna wear safety goggles to my graduation.
Yeah. And then you did, and everyone made fun of you, but you're the only one that still has both her eyes, so
yeah,
joke's on them.
Honestly, really disappointed in myself for not having an eye patch at this point in my life.
You have glasses.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was a period in high school also where I broke on my toes, so I had a limp for like a year because there's nothing that doctors can do about a broken toe, basically.
Sure.
And also I had dyed my hair purple, like eggplant purple. Mm-hmm. And also, I got a piece of sand stuck under my contact. Content warning for horrifying body horror. Got a piece of sand stuck under my contact lens, scratched the surface of my eye. So for 2 weeks, I had to wear an eye patch to school. So I was just walking around with purple hair, a limp, and an eye patch.
And like the most, we get it. You're unique.
Yeah, like just the most anime protagonist I've ever looked. And yeah,
fantastic. Before we begin, guys, we have a merch store now.
Yeah, we got merch.
Did it. It's TeePublic, and right now there are 3 designs up. One of them is #TeamTroll, which I ordered for myself. One of them is I Will Be Your Ragnarok with the human rights colors, and I got that one for Max. If you want to show a Nazi that you're going to punch him in the face in the name of Odin, wear that shirt or get the sticker. And then the third one is Black Flash in the style of Tom of Finland.
Yeah. So, which is a throwaway joke that I made in the second episode, and I'm really glad that it came back around. And Janey made a beautiful Tom of Finland.
You didn't
Black
even
Flash.
make it in the episode.
Oh, really?
After the episode ended, I said, I want to draw the Black Flash, and you said, okay, but draw him in the style of Tom of Finland. And I've been sitting on that for like 6 months. Like,
Tom of Finland is a gay erotica artist from like the 40s.
He only draws like
comically ripped
and like hairy chested bikers in leather.
Yeah, also mostly like policemen and like cowboys.
Yeah, it's just pretty great. Just look it up if you want to have a great time.
Yeah, so we have merch now, so we can stop yelling at you to fund us so that we can make t-shirts.
So we're gonna do it ourselves, okay? We're strong, independent ladies. So if you want to buy a t-shirt and rock some Sort of the Story merch, which we're gonna rock it, so you might as well be there too, okay? It's teepublic.com/user/sort of the story.
All one word.
All one word, but you have to put user in there. /user/sort of the story. I don't like that. I would like to make a note to TeePublic.
Yeah.
But
hey, assholes, remake your website. We hate it.
If you have other merch ideas, though, so those were my favorite ones that I was just thinking about last night, but if you have some more that you are like, this is my favorite thing that was said, or this was my favorite story, or I want to see this, shout us out on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Let us know. I desperately would like to know. We now also have an email, sortofthestory@gmail.com, so you know what? Just, like, hang out with us.
Yeah.
Contact us. Let us know.
Yeah, and just in the interest of transparency, TeePublic also, most of the money that you spend on it is actually the production of the shirts, so that's not going necessarily directly to us, just so that you're aware your money's going.
I think we'll get at very most like $4.
Yeah.
But most, because they set their prices too, which is fine, because as somebody who runs like an Etsy store and has to do all that myself and the shipping and stuff like that, like...
Yeah.
For the podcast, being able to just be like, here's the design, and then getting a couple bucks, it's gonna maybe buy me or Max, or me and Max, maybe a couple of books, or it'll at least pay for our Buzzsprout subscription. So, if we can make $22 a month to pay for my crippling Buzzsprout addiction, I would
Boy,
be happy.
howdy.
Okay, and that's about all I have for business.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Business.
Business. So I'm going first this week.
Yeah, you were.
Let's fucking do it.
Get to it already. God damn it.
Woo! Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay.
Janey, okay.
All right, so I am really fucking pumped today. Also, I'm going to curse a lot. If you're a child or you're with a child, know that. Mm-hmm. It's not going to kill them, okay? And also, studies show that cursing makes you smarter. Or just, like, smarter people curse.
Also, it genuinely helps with pain. So if you bang your toe and you're like, fuck!
Yeah.
It actually very seriously makes your pain level go down.
So maybe, like, listen to science.
Yeah. Swear more, idiots.
Yeah. You fucking idiots. Children out there.
Hi, Mom.
Fun. With that, I'm really fucking excited because I got another book by Csenge Zalka. And here it's just Csenge Zalka, but I believe this is one of her earlier ones, and I learned a lot about her.
Ooh.
She, her, baby.
Hell yeah.
If you don't remember, Csenge Zalka has now surpassed everyone, has become my favorite storyteller of all times. I genuinely just, everything she writes, I adore. But she wrote the Superhuman Powers, or Superhumans with Supernatural Powers book that I have talked about several times on here. Mm-hmm. And so I got her other book.
I didn't realize she's from now. She's a human that... Yeah. She's like... Yeah. She looks like she's like in her like 20s or 30s.
Yeah, she could be my age. And I'm really excited.
Hey,
she's an international storyteller from Hungary. She has a master's degree in storytelling from East Tennessee State University and a PhD in culture studies from Bowling Green State University, Ohio. How cool. Also, I didn't know this, but her academic research focuses on role-playing games as collaborative storytelling. So remember when I was telling Janos and Roshka and how they went into a tavern and there was like musicians and we mentioned like this sounds like D&D. Mm-hmm. It's because it does.
Oh, I love it. Be our friend.
I am so obsessed with her. Also, that also answered a question where I was like, is somebody translating her? No, she's just perfect at English and everything.
Amazing.
So this book is called Dancing on Blades, Rare and Exquisite Folktales from the Carpathian Mountains. And I want to read a bunch about this book before we even get in because she does such an amazing job of ethically translating and retelling stories. So there's a lot of cool things about this, but in particular, this book is about, or it's a collection of stories that she collected when she was getting her PhD. And it's a collection of stories from Transcarpathian folktales from a woman named Palaiologh Anna. And that is the traditional way to say it, where they put the family name first and their first name.
Well, yeah, patronymics.
Yeah. So Palaiologh Anna was born in basically modern-day Ukraine, possibly around 1858. They make a point to say, like, she wrote down all these stories. She didn't really write them. She would just tell these stories, and there was, like, a young girl who would listen to these stories and ran and wrote them all down in between, like, going to high school and, like, sitting at home thinking about them. Or when she was in classes, she would just be like, oh, yeah, there's this other one. And so she would write them down. And then later on, she made that, like, her profession, and she very seriously went back to her, like, childhood notes, and she wrote them all down for real in, like, 1915.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Okay. They said that Anna must have been a gorgeous woman in her youth because one day an important man visited her village and his chariot driver took one look at Anna and was like, oh my God, I love you. And like blurted out like, hi, want to get married? And she was like, okay. And then they just kind of had a whirlwind wedding and romance and they like fell madly in love and they had like a fairy tale little life. And then he died pretty young, and then she got married again when she was 40, and then she spent the rest of her days, like, smoking a pipe and sitting on a porch with, like, stepchildren and all these grandchildren telling stories, and she died at 93. And they said that she was this just cheerful, wonderful woman who was so good at storytelling that everyone would come from, like, miles away.
I love it.
To hear her. I love her. So there's a couple passages in this, like, very beginning part that I thought were just phenomenally written. But this first one, Csenge says, there is a trick history question that has been featured in our high school graduation exams. An old woman has lived in 3 countries in her lifetime and yet has never left her house. Where does the house stand?
No idea.
Okay. So that old woman, she says, that old woman could have been Anna at the time when her stories were collected. Ugocsa County, I'm going to pronounce all this wrong and I'm really apologetic. Historically a part of the Hungarian kingdom for centuries, was split between Czechoslovakia and Romania after the end of World War I. The first and second Vienna Awards returned Transcarpathia to Hungary for the duration of World War II. So already World War I It's like transferred somewhere else. World War II, now it's under a different country's area. And then soon after, the Czechoslovakian part was handed over to the Ukraine, where it belongs today, including both Anna's birthplace and her home village. Therefore, technically, after moving from her Rusian village to the Hungarian one after she got married, Anna lived in 3 different countries between the ages of 60 and 93 without ever leaving her house. So, it's only important because this collection of stories, I read a couple of them, really does combine so many different cultures into it because she was taking from how she grew up, and how she grew up was the same landscape, but an ever-changing cultural landscape. So it's really cool. And then the person who actually took over, the girl who was writing down her stories, her name is Zirmai Flores Maria, and she collected all the tales. Okay, Anna got a lot of her tales orally. Most of them were all oral traditions from her mom and her grandmother. They were all traveled down. She mentions sometimes that she got some of them from her father. And the reason why was because her father was in the military and he would go off to war. And when he'd come back, he'd have stories to tell her. And it says traditionally military service was one of the contexts where storytelling happened, usually in the evenings after curfews. Because they were far away from home, men exchanged tales, heard new ones, and took them back to their own villages if they were lucky enough to return. I just love it. As a child, Anna inhabited the same world her tales portray, with ancient castles hidden in deep forests, nameless flowers growing over buried treasure, and folk beliefs of dragons, witches, and fairies still very much alive long into the 20th century. Moving downriver, she left the mountains behind for the plains, but she never forgot them. It was in the honor of this enchanting landscape that I, Csenge Zalka, subtitled this book Folktales from the Carpathian Mountains, signifying all the cultural and natural diversity represented in these stories and alluding to the name of the regions, Transcarpathia, literally beyond the Carpathian Mountains. So this is all of these are Anna's stories. She decided not to translate them word for word, but she took them later and she was using them because she was a storyteller. She was an international storyteller. And she would take these stories and she would retell them. And the more she did that, the more she realized, A, people were connecting to them a lot, but B, she was able to fill in some of the gaps. Because Anna was 93 and still telling these stories, so a lot of them have little things where they were written down exactly by this woman, Maria, who was oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. Or at this point she was did I tell you this? So because that happened, it's us.
It's sort of the story.
Anna was sort of telling the story. Csenge was retelling them and filling in the gaps, so it's not a word-for-word translation of the stories that she ended up finding, but she filled in the gaps and she would take artistic license. But she always at the end, just like in the other book, at the end of it she always says this is what I changed, this is what I left in because I thought it was really funny, and this is the cultural significance, and this is what I thought was really cool because it's different from what I've read before. So we also get all of the information on her thought process because she puts notes at the ends of all her stories and they're all funny and I love them. Ooh, and then the last part. If you are conducting more in-depth folkloric research and need to delve deeper into the details, feel free to find me online. I'm happy to help. Nice. That's written in her book. And I think it's dangerous because what if she doesn't want to interact with people anymore? But I'm sure going to reach out. And then the very last thing. These tales have been handed down and preserved for us by a succession of exceptional women. Sadly, all of them are gone now. So are the nameless mothers and grandmothers that passed these tales on to Anna, and her father, who managed to salvage the humanity of storytelling from the horrors of war. I dedicate this volume to their memory in the hopes that new storytellers, both men and women, will pick up these tales, find beauty in them, and carry them on.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So now I'm going to retell one of these stories.
Cool.
Chenge's my favorite person ever. I'm obsessed with her.
Amazing. I love it.
I want to be her friend. Csenge, be my friend. Okay. And with that very long intro, this is Dancing on Blades. This is the story, The Maiden with the Red Gold Hair. Once upon a time, there was a handsome young king, and he was constantly holding parties because every time he had any sort of thing to celebrate at all, his birthday or his parents' anniversary or he got a new haircut, he'd throw a big party. And every time he did, women from all over the place. Just like all ranks of women would just flood the castle looking beautiful and in their best clothes, and they'd bring all sorts of presents. Like they'd be like, I brought you this roasted pig. Or I brought you this bundle of fresh flowers. Oh no. It's wearing a jaunty cap. They're like, you know, I embroidered this shirt for you, or like, you know, I did, so they were jewels. So he always gets these fancy things, and he is bored of them. He's like, every time he got them, he was like, you can't buy my love. And he coined that phrase. It's really weird. But he would like sigh and then kind of push them off to the side and never look at them again. So they were just kind of collecting in a room. So he has this servant who's really clever and has known him for a while, and I think is a little presumptuous. And instead of being like, hey, should we do something with these? He just starts to sell the stuff. And he's doing it for a good reason. But he's meddlesome. So what he's doing is he's like, there's a lot of food here that it's going to go to waste. So he would take the food and he'd distribute it amongst people who would need food, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. Then he was taking all of the nice fancy things that these women were bringing, and he was selling them to people. And then he was taking the money and he was putting them in like the castle's like coffers. So he's like, it's good for the economy. The realm has stuff to spend. Like, this is all great. The people who are buying it have stuff fit for royalty. Everybody's winning. Except the king doesn't know he's doing this. And so one day he realizes, wait a minute, you're selling all my shit? Get out. And the guy's like, no, but you don't understand. It's for a good reason. And he's like, there's no good reason to go behind my back and sell my stuff. Like, no. So he fires him. That's the beginning of this. This clever servant gets fired for stepping over the boundaries.
Rude.
Yeah, I can't tell whose side I'm on because I'm kind of on the king's side. Like, tell me what you're doing. That's weird that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, you thought I would say no?
But also, that shit was going to waste, so...
It was just, yeah. It's, I don't know, personal. There is a personal boundary there, but also there is, like, a moral obligation to not just have food rotting, you know?
Yeah. Communication.
So, he finds, like, a more stupid servant. That's like a point. He doesn't come up ever again, but he finds a stupider servant. So one day the king decides, like, I'm gonna get married. He said specifically, like, I'm getting kind of bored. Maybe I need a wife. So
okay.
All of the women are like, oh, it's our time. And so all of the women just flood the castle of all ranks. They're so beautiful. Csenge says, even the sun paused in the sky to look at them. Like, the sun's like, oh, beautiful. Great. And they're all bringing all these gifts and stuff. And he hates all of them. Like, if they're blonde, he's like, I was kind of looking for a brunette. And they're like, cool. So they bring in a bunch of brunettes, and he's like, I wish they were blonder. And they're like, what? What does that mean? And they're not, like, good enough for him, or he's like, that one's not interesting, or that one's not smart, or that one's stupid like my servant. So, like, he's, like, really just not liking anyone. And eventually the women are getting kind of upset. So one of the women starts a rumor, and it spreads throughout the whole kingdom, where they're like, oh, did you hear? If the king can't find a wife in a year, then he has to die alone. That's the rules. The king's like, fuck you. I don't like anyone. Like, who started that? So now he's feeling really stubborn, relatably stubborn. So far, honestly, I think I'm on the king's side because I feel like the king someday. But he's like, well, now I'm not gonna get married until the year is over. And so he specifically sits on his heels and he just will not, like, get married at all. So after the year's done, though, he's like, you know what I will do is I will hire a wise woman to come and, like, consult with me, because obviously I'm not finding who I want. I need somebody to tell me who I'm looking for. So they have this magic well in the town, or in the realm, and it's magic. If you look in it, it'll either show you your one true love, or it'll show you how you're gonna die, whichever one comes first. And everyone's too afraid to look in the well because they're like, I don't think I want to know which one's gonna come first.
Such a weird... that feels like okay, so you're a king in a town, and you can't find the love of your life, and there just happens to be a well nearby that'll
tell you. But if you look in it, you could also see yourself, like, falling off a cliff.
Yeah, but that's the two options that he has. It's like, either, I mean, that's just science. Like, either you fall in love with someone and then you die, or you die without having fallen in love with anyone.
But I think the idea of knowing that if you see your death, it means you're never going to find love. Like, it's just, people are like, no,
yeah, but he doesn't want to find love.
He kind of does, though. He really does. He's looking for a wife. He's just not finding anyone that's suitable for him. And now all these women are making up rumors to try to scare him into finding a wife. And he's like, well, no, I don't want to marry anyone. But he does.
It feels like he could save a lot of wasted time, though.
That's
Doesn't
true.
have to be pestered by all of these gifts all the time.
Well, the wife... You must be so hard to be him. So the wise woman looks into the well, right? The whole town has followed. They're like, ooh, what's she gonna do? They all have like popcorn and they're whispering to each other, like, she's looking in the well. Wow, she's so brave. And he's like, who am I gonna marry? He's like standing from a far distance away from the well, like, who is it? And she looks in. And she sees the most beautiful woman. Which, okay, this is obviously implying that she's seeing his future. But what if she looks in and she sees her future?
Yeah, what if that's her wife?
I know. Oh no, he's not the rest of the story is him stealing her wife.
Ugh.
So she looks in, though, and she says, like, who's the king gonna marry? And she sees in the water the most beautiful woman she's ever seen. And she has long red gold hair. And it's, like, so, like, luminous, lustrous, that it like shines like gold, but it's like this bright, like flaming red. And she's like, whoa, I've never seen hair that bright. And also right under her left eye, something of note is that she has a black mole under her left eye, which is the sign of true beauty, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Classic. And so she tells him, like, he's like, who is it? And she's like, red gold hair and mole under the eye, and she's hot. And he's like, great. So he rewards her handsomely, pays her for her service. That was added in there. I like that.
And then steals her wife.
And then he goes off to steal her wife. So he goes searching for this unique girl. And this is like the best reality show in the world. Like everyone in the realm's like, this is the best. Like, did you hear? He's looking for this girl. Like, he's no longer looking for a wife in here. Now he's looking for one girl. And so they all know what she looks like, right? And he sends out like servants and they go searching for this girl. And they pass by through the town and there happens to be a duchess who is like, you know, she has a daughter, but they walk through and they see that her daughter is, like, not the one, and they keep going. But she's like, if that's all they're looking for, a redhead with, like, a black mole, I can do that. And so, basically, she mixes all these potions and magic, and she does all these spells, and then she dyes her daughter's hair red. And she's like, good, lustrous, shining gold red hair. And then she...
Check.
Yeah. And then she takes a small black bean, and she physically sews it into her daughter's cheek under her left eye. And it's super painful, and the daughter really doesn't want to do it. But the mother is like, hey, you fucking piece of shit. If you don't do this, I'm going to kick you out of the house. How about there? So, like, your choice is to marry a king or be disowned on the streets. So what is it? And she's like, fuck. Like, that sucks. And she's like, also, if he finds out that you lied to him, he's going to probably execute you. So I would keep this up as long as you can. And so that's what she does. They come back around and she's like, oh, you forgot to look at my daughter. And they're like, yeah, that is her. She's beautiful. She has red gold hair, mole. How come you didn't show us this girl when we were coming through? And she was like, I wanted you to see that there was nobody else in the world like my daughter. So you've seen that now, and now you can find her. So they bring her back, and everyone's like, yay! He found her! And he's like, oh, cool. And he doesn't feel love at first sight. Like, he's happy he found her. He's like, this is clearly the woman. But he was expecting to feel something, like, really, like, beautiful. Like, he's a romantic, is, like, honestly, I think what it comes down to. So
he's looking for sparks,
He's looking for spark, but he doesn't feel it.
He wants the foot pop.
He wants the foot pop. Let's watch Princess Diaries.
Okay.
Do you guys want to watch Princess Diaries with us? Everyone's invited. So they get married, though. They have this big, beautiful wedding. Now, obviously, it's like this huge deal. Like, he's filled an entire room filled with gifts for her, like jewels and dresses and shoes and a bunch of all those gifts of those women.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, there's gotta be so many re-gifts in there. It's like a nice leather belt.
A really,
that
like,
fits him and not her.
A really rotten, like old roasted pig with a bow on it.
It's like, it's taxidermy and it's not very good.
No, it's just rotten
You're
meat.
welcome.
But he does all this, right? And everybody's having the best time. The only person not having fun at this wedding is the girl, because her cheek hurts so bad, because now it's just been festering for a couple of days with this, like, foreign object in it. And at one point, he's like, I'm so happy you're here. And he reaches out to, like, brush her cheek, and she screams bloody murder. And he's like, sorry! And she's like, oh, it's okay, everything's fine. And he's like, okay. So then he just doesn't touch her again because he's afraid she'll scream at him again. So, like, they're having a bad time. There's a female cook at this wedding, right, who's been hired to help everything. They specifically keep calling her the female cook.
The cookess.
The cookess. Cookette.
The cook tricks.
Ooh, I like that one. That's my favorite. But there's a female cook, and she has a daughter. She has a beautiful daughter, right? And the daughter doesn't usually travel with her or whatever, but the mom had gone home and was like, oh my God, had been telling her all about this. Like, he's looking for this girl, and the daughter's like, cool. And the mom was like, he found the girl, and the daughter's like, awesome. And then at the wedding, she like goes back to her daughter and she's like, oh my God, he's setting up a whole room filled with gifts. At which point the daughter laughs and goes, oh, Mom, all of those are going to be mine one day. And the mom, this is the quote, the mom was, quote, worried her daughter might be losing her mind. But then she's like, I guess I have to go back to the wedding. Do you want to go with me? And the daughter's like, no. The daughter with red gold hair and a black beauty mark under her eye was like, no, I'll wait here. Don't worry. I'm just going to bide my time. So the daughter... The daughter knows exactly what's happening. This entire time, the mom's been coming home and being like, he's looking for a girl that looks just like you. And she's like, yes, he is. And he'll find me when he's ready. But I'm not about to go, like, chasing after him. Like, I'm not raising my hand. He can find me when he, like, really, is upset that he was so rash. Dumb. Yeah, and dumb, and pick somebody else. So she just has, like, faith that eventually they're going to come together, but she's not going to, like, be desperate. And honestly, love it.
Yeah. She's got other shit going on.
She does. She has a full life. And that's, like, there's a point in the story. Like, she has her own shit going on. Doesn't need to marry a king right now. So they get married, though, the false bride and the king, and he's, like, kind of like, oh, I guess... that's my wife now. It's great. She, meanwhile, is, like, freaking out constantly. She's never not anxious and upset. Her hair has, like, the magic is starting to, like, wear off. The dye is starting to grow out. Sure. And so, like, she has roots, and also her, like, hair is really dull and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, your hair, it was so shiny when we got married. Are you okay? And she's like, yep, I'm good. And he's like, okay. Whatever, you seem like a brunette now, but okay. He, like, leaves. It's, like, patchy, I'm guessing. And then,
she's a calico.
She's a calico. She's like, no, you like this too, I promise. Worse than that, though, the bean that has been sewed in her cheek is starting to sprout.
Oh. When I was, like, 5, I was running around the pool without shoes on, and there was, like, a forest around the pool, for some reason, and somehow I was running around on, like, the, like, rough concrete and everything, and I stepped on, like, a young acorn, like a small one.
Yeah.
And it got stuck in my foot, and I just didn't notice because I was, like, swimming all day, so my feet weren't, like...
they were soft.
Yeah. It got stuck in my foot, and I didn't notice until, like, a week later, when my foot just was hurting and wouldn't stop, and my mom had to cut a slightly sprouted acorn out of the heel of my foot.
And Max still walks around barefoot constantly.
I've also had an inch-long fish vertebrae go into my heel, and
she still doesn't wear shoes, guys.
Yeah, shoes are for bitches.
As somebody who's never not wearing shoes, like, I have them next to my bed so that I never have to not be wearing shoes if I'm out of my bed. I don't understand you.
Shoes are just a prison for your feet.
No, they're very warm and also help your back. And also, you can't get an acorn stuck in your... It's very hard to get an acorn stuck in your foot if you're wearing shoes.
Counterpoint, I am always hot and uncomfortable, so I don't want to be warm. And also, you have a lot of back problems, so I'm not sure if that science stands up.
My back problems are from being hit by a car, thank you very much.
They're not from shoes at all. So this is a deeply personal story for me.
Oh yeah, the flashbacks. So the bean sprouted on her face, and the king is like, so, and she's like, yeah, this needs to, can somebody, like, cut out, can something happen? And he's like, that's so weird. Okay. And so he calls his chariot driver, and apparently, like, Csenge talks about this, about why these people were called. The chariot driver works with horses, and so traditionally, if there was any sort of, like, splinter, or there was, like, maybe, like, an injury, or, like, anything emergency, you usually would be like, the chariot driver deals with horse emergencies all the time, and I have a people emergency. So they call him, and they're like, this bean sprout needs to be cut, and he's like, no, I'm not touching that. It's on the queen's face. Like, I'm not going to be in charge with putting a knife near the queen's face. No, thank you. And so they're like, oh. And so then they call the barber. The barber apparently is also a doctor at this time.
Yes. Yeah, I knew
does,
this,
like,
actually.
bloodletting. You knew this? I didn't know this.
I think it's Oh, why did I know this? I think it has something to do with the word barbiturates, but I could be wrong.
That sounds right.
But like, yeah, because they would like, you know, like cut people's faces, so they had to give them like painkillers and antibiotics and everything like that. So they just had like a small arsenal of first aid nearby. Shit. Yeah, well, and also like if you had any kind of like face problems or anything, like any kind of something small,
they were like estheticians.
Yeah, they were like a minor surgeon.
But like I just didn't realize that like on top of being the person to cut hair and shave beards, they also had to like be a doctor.
Yeah, everyone was an EMT in this time.
And no one was good at it apparently. But the barber comes in and is like, no, I got this. Like that chariot driver was a coward. And he takes a knife and he goes to like cut the sprout off of the they're like, this is a mole. But instead he accidentally touches her face and the whole bean just pops out. And she's like, oh, this feels much better. And he's like, ugh. There's a bean in your face.
Probably like a partially rotten bean also.
Yeah. Yeah, gross. With like a root. Ugh. So,
I would scream.
Then it makes a point to be like, if you were who in the story?
Yes.
Okay. So, then it makes a point to say, the king was starting to get suspicious.
Starting?
A bean just popped out of his face. Her mole is now gone. And so he asks her, like, hey, what's up? And she bursts into tears, and she confesses everything. Like, she's been waiting to get this off her chest, and she basically says, like, my mom told me that you're gonna probably execute me for lying, and she would never take me back, and I'd be out on the street, and I don't know what to do, because I'm really sad and scared all the time, and I'm not happy ever, and I don't think I ever have been, and she just, like, cries and cries, and he's like, hey, I'm not mad at you. That's an impossible situation to be in. That sucks. I'm really sorry. I'm not mad at you. And she's like, well, now you're gonna divorce me. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna divorce you. Like, we're married. I would like to circle back and talk about your mom for a bit and how I am mad at her. And she's like, please don't hurt my mom. And he's like, okay, but like, what? We should have that conversation later. But like, you get some rest. So like, he's really nice to her. So after a little while, like she feels a little bit better, right? She's finally cried, and you know that made her feel like a million times better.
Also, she's ejected the bean from her face.
Yeah, right. And she was like, "Thank God,"
yeah,
because she was in pain all the time. You can't just have a bean in your face.
Yeah, it's been really hard to sleep.
Oh my God. It would have been hard to sleep even without the bean, just from the anxiety of lying, you know?
Yeah. But also I have a lot of piercings in like my ears and face, and it's not pleasant to like try and fall asleep and then you turn a little bit and like your pillow hits the piercing and you wake up and it's bad.
Yeah. The only time I've ever almost thrown up from pain was after I got my cartilage pierced in my ear and somebody accidentally hit me in the ear. And I was in the middle of class and I almost threw up. I was like, oh God. Okay, so one day the queen is out and about. She's, in town and she's shopping and she's doing her thing. And she happens to catch sight of a beautiful girl with red gold hair and a black, like, beauty mark. And she panics. She's like, oh my God, she exists. And then she, like, runs home and she jumps into bed and she just cries and cries and cries. Because she's like, fuck, like, not only did I rob him of his actual true love, but also he's gonna divorce me because she's out there. And so she starts just wasting away. Like, she is so sick that she eventually can't get out of bed at all. And so he's like, what do I do? And she's like, can you call my mom? And he's like, okay. And he's mad at this mom. He has not let her in the castle at all. He has not talked to her. But because she's, like, dying and wants to see her mom, he allows her in. The mom gets into that room and immediately starts yelling at her. And is like, you stupid bitch. Like, you could have had it all. You deserve this. Like, you are horrifically ugly now that your face looks like this. I hope you're happy. I hope it was worth it. And I'm like, what was worth it? So the girl cries and cries and cries, and then her mom leaves, and then she gets so sick from that, because that made her worse. So the king asks the female cook to prepare her famous rich broth. He's like, listen, my wife is really sick. You have this broth that has been known to, like, help people. Can you please make some for my wife? Because he really wants her to get better. And the cook's like, sure. So she makes it. But every time she makes it, her daughter with the red gold hair is like, Mom, here, take a strand of my hair, put it in the soup. If she drinks it with the hair in it, it'll cure her. Like Ella Enchanted.
Ooh.
It's that's just the story. But she's like, do that. So the mom is like bringing the soup to her with this hair in it. And this is why I love the king so much, because he's stubborn and all that stuff, but also he doesn't just have this woman bring soup to her. He physically takes the soup from her and is like, thank you so much. And then he'll bring it to his wife. But he looks down and he realizes, like, oh my God, there's a hair in it. And so he picks out the hair and he almost throws it away. He's like almost like a little bit, grossed out, but also he's like, this is the red gold hair. And he just kind of pockets it. Like, he doesn't know what to do because he's like, okay, like, this is a really specific color. And he just puts it in his pocket, and then he'll give his wife the soup, right? And, like, he'll sit there with her while she eats it, and, like, he'll talk to her and stuff. And so she does this for, like, 3 days. But every day, he's like, there's not a hair in it. And he doesn't know what to do with it. And so he just keeps putting him in his pocket. And so the wife does end up dying, right? So this is when she dies. Like, he's tried everything he can. And he is in mourning because he didn't love his wife, like, romantic love. Like, he didn't feel like he was in love with his wife, but he did love this woman.
Yeah.
You know, like, he like set his heart on starting a life with this woman. And so she'd had such a sad life that he felt really genuinely bad. So they have this funeral. She's honored with everything that he can give her. And he's mourning. He can't look at anyone else, right? But that woman with the red gold hair is at the funeral, and everyone's kind of like looking at...
Bitch!
Well, she tried to save her.
Okay.
but
still.
But she goes with her mom to pay her respects to the queen. I think it also is expected that everybody goes because it was their queen.
Okay.
And so, but everyone's kind of like looking like, does she look familiar? This woman looks pretty familiar. And they're, doing it. Well, the one person, the king isn't noticing anything. The clever servant, who has never actually gone away but has been stalking the king, apparently, behind the things and doing good deeds for him. He's obsessed with him. He still loves him. The clever servant is at the funeral, and he takes note. He's like, oh my god, that's his true love. And so after the funeral, he follows this woman home and notes where she lives, and then he runs to the king's advisors and is like, hey, this is where this girl lives. Let him know it was me. And they're like, we're not going to do that. And so they go back. After the funeral, the king is like, hey, there is somebody to blame for this. It's the Duchess. She's to blame. She did this. She cost both of us our happiness and also killed her own daughter. So we need to figure something out. So he calls this big council. He actually brings his advisors to him because he's like, I need to figure out what to do. I'm really angry, and this woman deserves to be punished, but I don't know what to do. And then he brings out the 3 strands of hair, and he's like, also, real quick, this is the hair of my actual wife, and he like puts him down. He's like, the actual woman I was supposed to marry, this is her hair, so don't know where that came from. But I do know that woman wasn't the woman from the well. And the advisors are like, whoops, because they were the one that brought her to him. And he's like, they're like, oh no. And he's like, I'm not mad at you. Guys, I'm not mad at you. Like, I've proven at this point that I'm not like a super vengeful person. But like, what do we do? And so they're like, okay, well, let's deal with the Duchess first. So they gather a big council. They invite the Duchess. And then at the council, the king's like, I have a query. Let's say, a hypothetical, and I want you all to go around and talk about how you would deal with this. Let's say a person betrays the king. They lie to the king, they betray them. And in doing so, they cause the death of an innocent woman. What should the punishment be? And everyone goes around and they're like, maybe like probation and maybe like some rehabilitation, maybe a little bit of therapy. And they're like, yeah, definitely therapy. Perhaps some parole, like, when they're out on parole. So that's not what they were saying, but that's what I'm saying. But they're like, maybe we sit down and we get to the root of why they made this decision. But when it gets to the Duchess, she's like, oh, they deserve to die. They're terrible. And how dare they? And so she's like really all out. She's like a psycho. And she's like, here's what you do. This will make everyone know never to do this again, Your Highness. You're going to kill an ox. Then you're going to cut it open. You're going to shove the person inside of the ox, and then you're going to sew it up around them. So they have to be in there, and then like they'll suffocate to death inside of the ox, and that'll teach him. And the king's like,
what did the ox ever do?
Yeah, but also I want to be like, the king was like, hey, we're going to ask her whatever punishment she says the person deserves, we're going to give it to her. And now he's looking at her like, I don't want to do that. Like, ew. But he has no choice. So he's like, all right, cool. Well, it's you. And she's like, what? And so then they cut open an ox and they put her inside. And they make a point to say that how she dies is because she fits inside of the ox. It's a large ox. She's a little old woman. They put her inside of it. So it sits out in the sun and the skin shrinks. And that's how she dies. The skin shrinks around her and she suffocates to death sewn inside of it.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of nasty skin stuff in this one.
Oh, yeah. Then she dies and everyone cheers. They're like, hooray! After that, they tell the king, the king's advisors are like, we actually know where to find the girl. And he's like, how'd you find her? And they were like, it was us. We did it, right? No, we didn't. Damn it, we can't lie to you again, because now we know how you deal with liars. It was the clever servant, so he calls the clever servant. Before finding this girl, he calls the clever servant in. They both give awkward apologies to each other. And that's mentioned in the story. They both are like, hey, we both did. No, can I go first? You go first. Actually, can I go first? I'm sorry. Like, I want to say sorry. No, you don't have to say sorry. I'm sorry. It was me. And then they, like, cry and they hug. Then after he, like, hires the servant back, he goes to find this girl. And when he finds her, they fall madly in love on the spot. Like, they just see each other. He feels everything he had been hoping to feel with the first woman, and he proposes, and she accepts. Also, the mourning period is over, so, like, it's not like he's doing this, like, right after she dies. Mm-hmm. And then on their wedding day, the young couple visits the first queen's grave, and they bring armfuls of flowers, and it says that they were such a sight that even the sun paused in the sky to look.
Aww.
And that's the end.
Aww.
Yeah. Now, Csenge makes a point, and this is what I loved about the story, too. She makes a point to say that, this is Arns Thompson Uther. I'm literally trying to find this. The Arms Thompson Uther type 403, the false bride, and she said the reason why she loved this, and this is, like, indicative of Anna, like, as a storyteller, and she says possibly because women were passing these stories down to her. She's never read a false bride story that had them not punishing the false bride. Like, this one, they not only treated her really well, but they, like, got justice for her, and they didn't forget her at the end. They literally end on the story of them, like, honoring her as the first wife and as somebody who had a really hard life. And so she's like, this is just such an empathetic way to tell this story that I'd never heard before, even while being a really gory story. Like, it's not like, it doesn't shy away from body horror or, like, terrible ways to die. So, like, I really appreciated that.
Yeah. It reminded me of Cinderella, and also Ella Enchanted, when it's like the stepmother has the stepsisters, like, cut off parts of their feet so that they will fit into the shoe, and, like,
that evil mother trope, for sure.
But also the idea of, like, mangling yourself in order to trick someone.
Yeah. Oh,
horrifying.
They do say that that's a very Hungarian... There's a couple things that she said in Hungarian folklore, and, like, Ukrainian folklore in that region. She says that a lot of times you'll see things like cutting off, body mutilation in order to trick someone, but also asking the actual criminal how they would punish a hypothetical crime is, like, a pretty big trope.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's sort of the story.
I like that sort of story.
Thank you. I'm in love with Csenge. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. But you know what? One thing at a time, okay? Now I finally know she's a she.
Csenge, reach out to us and tell us how to pronounce your name.
Csenge, do you want to come over and watch Hella Enchanted with us?
Princess Diaries?
Do you want to have an Anne Hathaway night with us, Csenge? Let us know.
All right. Shall we take a break?
Let's take a break. Bye.
All right, Janey.
Okay.
So I fucked up.
No, you didn't. I think it's fine. We don't have to have a themed episode.
Well, so we had talked about doing an episode of specifically, like, Christian myths.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to do St. Margaret, and I thought we were doing it today, and I am doing it today, is the story. So we're doing this instead of that. So I'm doing St. Margaret of Antioch, who is a saint of the Catholic Church and of the Eastern Orthodox Church. The reason why I'm doing her, I took a course in St. Andrews, Scotland, right before I went to college in creative writing. And we had one prompt where we were given a picture and we had to write a poem based off of it. And I was given a picture of St. Margaret. And so I did a little bit of research on, like, what her deal was. And then I wrote a poem based on it. And she's a badass. So
are you going to read the poem?
Yeah, I'll read the poem at the end.
I think you should.
Okay. Yeah. I'll read the poem at the end. But so I did a bunch of research about her and found out that she was a badass, and then haven't thought about her for the past 8 years.
Okay.
But when you did your story about Saint Olga...
it all came flooding back.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, wow, she sounds like a badass. Here's another badass that I know about.
It's a bunch of scary women in the Catholic Church that don't get enough hype.
St. Margaret, I think, could give St. Olga a run for her money. She's incredible, and I absolutely love her. So, St. Margaret of Antioch, also known as the Virgin St. Margaret, or in the Eastern Orthodox tradition, Saint Marina or Saint Marina the Great Martyr. She is the patron saint of pregnant women, the dying, kidney disease, peasants, exiles, falsely accused peoples, nurses, serving maids, and the patron saint of ending diabolical infestation.
Oh, no. Oh, yay.
So, I used a bunch of different sources for this. A lot of this is just straight out of the Wikipedia, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I started at the Wikipedia, kind of did a little bit of research there, and they were like, yeah, so...
Here are your sources. That's my favorite part of Wikipedia, is the sources at the end.
But also, so it started off and they were like, okay, so spoilers. Not really spoilers, I'm about to tell you the story, but this part isn't the most fascinating part, in my opinion. Saint Margaret is known for slaying a dragon. That's her claim to fame.
Didn't you say that was Saint George?
Interesting. So... St. George is one of the patron saints of England who is known for slaying a dragon. Their stories are very similar. St. Margaret's is older.
Yeah, it is. She did it first, George.
Won't say anything beyond that.
Why are there so many dragons?
Because the dragon is a manifestation of Satan. It's not an actual dragon, it's Satan.
Doesn't he turn into a dragon during the battle?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, he manifests as a dragon.
In case you needed another reason to love Satan.
Turns into a sick-ass dragon. So I started off on the Wikipedia and they were like, yeah, she's a saint. She's known for being the patron saint of all of this. She slayed a dragon and, and then converted a bunch of people and became a saint. Super exciting. Great. And then I went to the Catholic Church's website and they basically said the same thing. They were like, she was a saint, slayed a dragon.
Tiny paragraphs, right? When I went to the Catholic Church's website, it was the tiniest paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, they mentioned nothing about genocide.
Yeah, they did the lightest possible gloss over her story. They were like, yeah, she was a girl, and she killed a dragon, Mm-hmm. And they gave like a 2-sentence summary of her story, and they were like, and that's all.
And that's all that's worth noting.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, maybe St. Margaret isn't as interesting as I remembered her being. And then I got to a website called blackdrago.com, as in dragon without an N.
Okay.
It is a website that
I don't like
is all about...
Drago reminds me of doggo.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Or do I? No, I don't. But kind of, but no. So blackdrago.com is a website about dragons. It's just all about dragons. And this was the first source that I found that actually referenced, there's a translation of the Golden Legend, and specifically the chapter on St. Margaret, which is an ancient text that was translated by William Caxton. And this actually describes the events of why St. Margaret became a saint. And it's metal as fuck.
I am really excited.
It makes a lot of sense why Wikipedia and the official website of the Catholic Church gloss so heavily, because it's so hard to describe this without making it sound like you're talking about the biggest badass in the universe.
Can I just really quickly...
Yeah.
It's just, I'm so annoyed. So I grew up in the Catholic Church, and honestly, I loved my upbringing in the Catholic Church. I genuinely had a really good time. But I might still be Catholic today if they had actually given us an honest history on the saints. I went through 12 freaking years of catechism, and I had my confirmation. I did all the things. I had to pick a saint, and I had no idea who to pick because I didn't know that there were ones that fucking killed dragons or committed mass genocide. What? I would have picked one of those. And I might still be a Catholic if you had just been honest with me.
Seriously.
But really, their whole thing was I'm realizing the only thing that we heard about women growing up in the Catholic Church was the sanitized, no, you have to be really nice and pure and good to everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's no, you don't. You can commit genocide if you want.
I don't know if that's the message.
You can kill a dragon if you want. Do it. Be honest.
Yeah. I should also, I guess I should preface this with saying, this is a storytelling podcast. It's not a religious podcast. So I am telling this story not as a judgment on or commentary on Catholicism as a whole, beyond my own personal opinions. That's not the purpose of this. This is just a story that I think is cool and fun.
Yeah.
So this isn't, I'm not trying to make a grand allegory about Catholicism or anything. This is literally just, I think it's a fun story. So
it's a cool story.
Yeah, with all of our stories, there are details that we will get wrong. There are details that we don't know the truth of. So just so we know, but so St. Margaret is one of the 14 holy helpers, which are these saints in the Catholic Church that are specifically lauded for their intercession against disease. So there are these 14 saints that their patronage specifically covers, like, protection from disease, which would become a huge deal during the bubonic plague. Like, there were a bunch of beautiful stained glasses of these 14 holy helpers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there are, at the core of the 14 holy helpers are the three virgin martyrs, who are St. Margaret, St. Barbara, and St. Catherine. So St. Margaret with the dragon, St. Barbara with the tower, and St. Catherine with the wheel is what they're described as. Those are like references to their stories. She has a feast day in Roman Martyrology on July 20th, in the Eastern Orthodox Church on July 17th, in the Church of England, July 20th. She was actually removed from the Martyrology because they were like, okay, but obviously this is fictitious and she wasn't a real saint. So they took her out. But some sects still celebrate her. Her hand, the relic of her hand, is in St. Mary's Church in Cairo, purportedly. Oh, also, incidentally, I'll come back to this at the end, but Joan of Arc, she was spoken to by 3 saints. The first was St. Michael, and then she was spoken to by Saints Catherine and Margaret, who
badass women.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were the ones who were like, hey, you have to drive the English out of France.
I was just thinking about how in my head I was literally just thinking how Joan of Arc was the only badass I learned about.
Yeah.
Badass women I learned about.
Yeah. So these are the 3 people who appeared to her, including St. Margaret. She, in her trial for her crimes, quaff and quaff, she said that she saw the full figure of St. Michael. He appeared as a very handsome gentleman to her in her father's garden. Yeah. And she spoke to him a couple of times before realizing that he was an angel. Yeah. After that, he was like, hey, 2 of my friends are going to come say hi to you. They're going to help you as your advisors in your holy war. And then St. Catherine and St. Margaret appeared, and she said that they appeared only as faces, and she couldn't remember anything about their features, but the only thing that she remembered was that they smelled great. So just going into this, just so you know, St. Margaret smells amazing. Yeah, so that's kind of the intro to that. So let's get into her actual story. St. Margaret was born to a pagan priest and his wife. Shortly after she was born, her mother passed away from complications due to childbirth, and her father took on a nurse who was a Christian woman. And this nurse, her dad didn't really give a shit about her. Yeah. He was busy being a pagan and terrible. This is a story from the Catholic Church. So he didn't really care about her. And her nurse, who was a Christian, raised her in sort of a Christian path, right? Yeah. And so as she got older, she decided to herself become a Christian. And her father cast her out and was like, you Christian bitch, get out of my house.
She's like, Dad, that's some real strong language.
Yeah. And so her nursemaid adopted her and raised her as a Christian, basically. Yeah. When she was 15 years old, she was out in the fields shepherding sheep. She and her nursemaid had a sheep farm.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It all sounds like pretty idyllic, I'm not going to lie. Like, she doesn't have to live with that dad that's terrible anymore, and just learn with her nursemaid and shepherd sheep. It's nice.
At the time, her land was being ruled by the Roman Emperor Diocletian. His reign was from 284 to 305. This supposedly takes place in 306, but a little fuzzy on the details there. And she saw riding up to her in the field the emperor's provost or prefect, Olybrius. And he sees her, and she is the most beautiful thing that he's ever seen. As always.
Yeah. She's like 15?
Yeah, she's 15. Okay. He's a grown-ass adult man. And he sees her, and he's like, wow, gotta have that.
Oh, no.
Also, in this time, the Roman Empire was specifically anti-Christian. They were, pro-Roman pantheon. So this is important. Yeah. So he rides up to her, and he's like, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I would like to marry you. Or, in some accounts, he was like, hey, you're my concubine. Time for sex.
Oh, no. Sir.
Yeah, so he's bad. Yeah. And gross. And he rides up to her, and he's like, hey, you're mine now. What's your rank or, class, name, and religion?
You're mine now.
Yeah, it's nasty. And she says, well, I am the daughter of a noble, which we don't really have any references to who that is or what that means, but she just says that. She says, my name is Margaret and I'm a Christian. And he's like, okay, well, I am going to marry you, but I can't marry you if you're a Christian, so you have to renounce your religion. And she's like, okay, but I don't want to marry you, and I do want to keep being a Christian, so no. And he's like, okay, well, that's not gonna fly. Also, you don't want to marry me? Okay, bitch.
Good God.
And he arrests her for being a Christian. He throws her into jail, and she spends the night in jail.
Yeah.
In the morning, she wakes up, and she's escorted to see Provost Illyrius at his, in his hall. And he says, well, you spent the night in jail. That's what you get for being a Christian. So why don't you go ahead and renounce your faith and come marry me? And she was like, still no.
No on both those things, but thanks.
Still no, though. And he was like, okay, well, just so you know, we're gonna torture you.
Jesus.
And she was like, okay, but still no. And this part is very graphic, and I apologize.
I'm so sad for her.
I know. They brought her back to the dungeon, and she was stretched on a rack, and then they beat her with iron rods and raked at her skin with iron combs to, rip her flesh.
Jesus.
And the provost came down, and he was like, well, now you've been tortured. Maybe now you'll renounce your religion and marry me. And this, again, 15-year-old girl, they describe her blood running as though water from a spring.
Jesus.
And it's so bad that he covers his face with his sleeve because he doesn't want to see all this blood.
Oh, come on.
And she's like, still no, and also fuck you even more.
Yeah. Guess what? Now I really don't want to do.
Yeah. So they take her off the rack and they throw her back in prison. And so there's just this girl, and she's bleeding in this prison cell, and she begins to pray.
Yeah.
And she prays and asks that the Lord might reveal the fiend that fought with her so that she can see who her real adversary is.
Wait, she doesn't think it's that guy?
Yeah, but it's there's nothing she can do to stop him. So she's like, okay, so what am I really fighting against? Okay. She prays to God to reveal to her her real adversary. And in this tiny cell appears a massive dragon. The dragon is Satan.
Okay, sure.
And she is still not changed to anything, but she's still in chains.
Yeah.
And she still fights off this dragon for a long, long time.
Yeah, she does.
And it's chasing her around this tiny cell and trying to eat her.
I love that she was like, God, can you let me know who I'm dealing with? And he's like, you got it, babe.
Dragon.
He puts a whole ass dragon in the tiny room. She's like, that's not what I asked. How could I have foreseen this?
Honestly, again, I would be more of a Christian if God would just throw some dragons at me sometimes.
Just every once in a while to keep me on my toes. There's a dragon in my room.
That's a real test of faith, That's what I want.
Also, though, she's suffering from severe blood loss.
Yeah.
And probably also let's be honest, probably also starvation and just sleep deprivation and...
Yep.
So it makes sense that she's fighting a dragon in this cell right now. This is tracking for me.
Yeah. And she fights off this dragon for a long, long time, but eventually she can't keep fighting. And the dragon swallows her whole.
No!
This is according to one account. The dragon swallows her whole, but she still has a cross around her neck. And as soon as the dragon swallows her, it's kind of like in a cartoon when a dragon swallows you. It's like in Hercules when he cuts off the head of the Hydra. He gets in it and then he slices off its head.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, what's that in my stomach? That happens.
Oh,
where the cross, the cross irritates the dragon's stomach and he pukes so hard that he dies and she comes out whole and fully alive.
What?
So that's one account. That's one account.
Okay.
Another account is that as the dragon approaches her to swallow her, she makes the sign of the cross, and the dragon's belly is split asunder. Or she's inside of the dragon, she makes the sign of the cross, and the dragon's belly is split asunder in the shape of a cross. Or, my personal favorite...
Yeah, I was gonna say, because so far none of this is slaying for me.
Oh, it's all well, yeah.
Okay.
My personal favorite is that the dragon swallows her, and then... she, again, either makes the sign of the cross or has the cross on her. Mm-hmm. And the dragon is like, oh, what the fuck is that? And then it explodes.
Yeah! There are 33 explosions in the Fast and Furious movies, guys. This Bible was directed by Justin Lin.
I have in my notes, dragon maybe explodes, ?
No, yes, ! That is what happened. So, love me an explosion.
So after the dragon explodes, she, in some accounts, is faced with a second trial where the devil appears to her once again in the form of a person or a devil, or, regrettably, because white supremacy is inextricably entangled with the Catholic Church, a black person.
What? Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Some of the art is like, you see it and you're like, oh, it's a demon. That's a sick-ass demon. And then it's like, oh, or is it
even a little bit
disgusting depiction of a black person? It's a huge bummer. But oftentimes it is like a demon of some kind appears to her. And basically, Margaret sees this demon, it appears, and she's like, oh, Christ. And then, like, literally, she's like, oh, Christ, and then prays.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And the devil says, again, this is from the Caxton translation, "It sufficeth to thee that thou hast done, but now cease as to my person." Which is basically, he's like, wow, you fought really hard, but, like, let's be honest. Like, you can't keep fighting, you're gonna have to, like, come to my side eventually, right?
Yeah.
And she hears this, and she, this is not my embellishment, grabs him by the head, throws him to the ground, and stomps on his neck, and says, "Lie still, thou fiend, under the feet of a woman." I want
that tattoo. I want the tattoo. "Lie still under the feet of a woman."
I went apeshit as I was reading this. I never thought a Catholic manuscript would make me go apeshit, but I fully went apeshit.
Holy crap! That's bad. And I'm sorry, but like how I view the devil now in 2022 because of the show Lucifer and like all of the Satan shows and Sabrina, everything. Like, you know that he'd be so excited about that. Like, what? Like, he'd have the same reactions. Like, come on.
And so then she has her foot on the devil's throat.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. Her tiny little 15-year-old foot.
And the devil is like, says, again, quote from the Caxton translation, "Oh, blessed Margaret, I am overcome. If a young man had overcome me, I had not recked," which is to care. "I had not cared, but alas, I am overcome of a tender virgin, where I may be the more sorrow, or may make the more sorrow for thy father and mother, have been my good friends." So he's like, oh man, not only did I get beat, but I got beat by a girl? That's twice as embarrassing. Especially since your parents were really easy to sway since they're pagans. Oh. So they're like in hell already, basically, with me. Which is great. I love that he was like, oh, I got beat by a girl? Gross.
God, if it was a boy, I wouldn't care as much.
Yeah. She asks the devil why he came to her to, like, come after her, basically. Yeah. He says that he actually came to the cell to advise her to accede to the prefect, to say that, like, you know, I will no longer be a Christian and I will marry you. Yeah. And she's like, why would you want me to do, like, that's not good advice at all. And he's like, well, I'm evil. So
now they're just having a conversation.
Yeah, with her foot still on his throat. Yeah. He's like, well, I'm evil. I have already had all of the delights of heaven stripped from my destiny. And so it makes me really jealous when I see people who are definitely going to the kingdom of heaven. So I want to ruin that for you. I like that he's direct.
Yeah, at least he knows himself, you know?
He also reveals himself as Veltus, specifically a demon who was sealed in brass by Solomon in Babylon. But treasure hunters in Babylon found the brass sealed container and broke it open thinking that it would contain riches. And so he was wrought back upon the earth, you know?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
some money shit.
He's both the devil and a devil, I guess.
Sure.
So
he's just evil.
Yeah. So he kind of wraps up his little autobio, and she's like, okay. And she removes her foot from his neck and says, flee hence, thou wretched fiend, and the earth swallows him up. So she just keeps her foot on his throat the entire time, is like, all right, you can go. And like, he just sinks into the earth.
He just disappears as fast as he can, like tail between his legs.
She's definitely still covered in dragon blood.
And her own blood.
Yeah.
Dragon puke. No, the dragon exploded.
Who's to say?
I am. They exploded.
So it says that after she has twice defeated the devil, she was sure for when she had overcome the master, she might lightly overcome the minister. So she's like, okay, now that I've defeated the devil himself, this stupid-ass prefect is nothing.
Amazing.
The next morning, the prefect comes in and he's like, hey, so quick question, have you repented and decided to not be a Christian anymore? And she was like, no. And he's like, okay, but do you want to marry me? And she's like, also no. Still, obviously, also no. And he's like, whoa, there's a dragon corpse in here. And she's like, don't worry about it. So they decide to put her through another series of tests. They have a test of fire. Basically, she's burned at the stake, but the flames don't touch her.
Oh.
So they're like, lame. And so then they throw her in a cauldron of probably boiling water. It seems like boiling.
Yeah. Why would it be a cauldron if not?
Yeah. It's either they try to drown her in a cauldron of regular water, or they put her in a cauldron of boiling water, or they try to drown her in a cauldron of boiling water.
Yeah. That'd be a rough way to go.
The resource. So they put her in this cauldron of boiling water, and a couple minutes go by, and then she just steps out of the cauldron.
No longer covered in blood, which is nice.
Yeah.
I bet that felt great.
A nice hot little bath.
Yeah.
And she said, I beseech thee, my lord, that this water may be to me the font of baptism to everlasting life.
Oh, shit.
Where they just try to drown her, and she's like, cool,
Thanks for the baptism, fuckers.
Yeah, she's like, I'm more powerful than ever, you assholes. So she comes out, and this is a story written by the Catholic Church. She steps out of the cauldron, and thunder cracks across the sky, and a dove flies out of the sky and puts a golden crown on her head.
Yeah. No, I believe it. I'm fully in.
Yeah. And seeing this, all of the thousands of people who have gathered to see this trial, there are 5,000 people. All of them are immediately converted to Christianity.
Yeah. You would have no choice at that point.
Yeah. If this woman comes out of a boiling cauldron and is like, fuck you, what's next? And then, the sky cracks and a dove comes and puts a crown on her head, I would be like, okay, I'm smelling what she's selling for sure.
Got it. And she smells amazing.
And she smells so good. So those 5,000 people are all converted to Christianity immediately. And then the prefect, the provost, is like, okay, well, now you all get beheaded.
No.
He beheaded 5,000 people.
Why didn't they all just murder him? There's 5,000 of you against one guy.
Yeah, but... So all 5,000 of these people are beheaded, and he's like, and you, Margaret...
Who's still alive?
Yeah.
But behead her. I'm sorry, I'm not on his side, but
Yeah, so he's like, you just converted 5,000 people, and this is no longer just a fun little game for me. I don't even want to marry you anymore, so I'm going to behead you.
I would like it if she's like, you don't want to? But now I've decided... Yes. And he's like, what? Yes. Just kidding, fucker!
You idiot. So... he goes to behead her and everything. They put her on the block, and she says a prayer for herself, her eternal soul, obviously, but also for the souls of her captors. She's like, I hope that they see the error of their ways.
What about the souls of the 5,000 people that were beheaded?
And those two. And she's like, and also I hope that my name can be boon to pregnant women so that they can get solace and comfort from my name, which is, she's the patron saint. I'll explain it in a minute.
Okay.
And it's sillier than you think.
All right. It's pretty strange right now in my head.
And then the voice of God from the sky says, yeah, totally. All of that, absolutely. Done. You're welcome. It's me, God. And
she's getting a lot of one-on-one interaction with God.
For sure.
He's sending her dragons and answering her from the sky and stuff.
Yeah.
Her.
And so hearing her praying for her captors and also possibly hearing the voice of God, the hangman or axeman says, he basically, he throws down his axe and he's like, God forbid that I should slay thee, Virgin of Christ. He's like, oh, I can't kill you.
Yeah.
You're way too holy. And
yeah.
She says, if thou do it not, then thou mayest have no part with me. Where she's like, okay, well, but we're already here, so you better fucking do it or I'm gonna be mad at you forever.
What?
Yeah, she's ready to be martyred. She's like, let's get this over with. So,
she doesn't want to live now that she's seen 5,000 people be beheaded. She's like, I can't go on. I can't do it.
Yeah. So the axeman beheads her, and then immediately himself lies down dead because he is so sorry for what he's done.
It's never happened to me.
It's also in the translation.
I'm pretty sorry.
In the translation, it specifically says giving up the ghost. Like he gave up the ghost, which is a phrase that I had never heard in anything ancient, but it actually is a phrase that comes up several times over the course of the Bible, and that's where we get the phrase.
Wow.
Yeah, which is weird, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, that's some stuff. That's kind of the end of her story. Her body is, like, interred into, like, a Christian burial ground by her nurse, who is probably pretty sad. Yeah, and then she becomes a saint. The reason why she is the saint of pregnant women is because of the dragon's belly.
Yeah.
How she came out of the dragon's belly.
I was just thinking that. I was like, there's no way, because that's the only thing that tracks.
Yeah. I like the idea that she, like, split open a dragon's belly from the inside and came out and was like, thank God I'm alive. And she was like, oh my God, is that what childbirth is like?
Aww.
Someone needs to help these women.
Please think of me and how it was like cool. Fine. Look, she was a 15-year-old.
Yes.
Just a baby.
So, some of the most badass artwork I've ever seen in my entire life. I saved like 30 pictures from Google of her. Again, like, she is often depicted as holding a cross or a spear with a cross on it or something like that, and standing on or above or in front of the corpse of a dragon. And also, the other way that she's depicted, if not with a dragon, is she is depicted beating a demon to death with a hammer.
What?
Yeah.
I love her.
Presumably because they were like, we can't show her stepping on someone's neck. That's
Why?
too
Sexual?
unladylike. So what if she was just beating someone to the death with a hammer?
I'm imagining a ball peen hammer. Imagine like a regular household.
Yeah,
like...
she has a toolbox open next to her. She's incredible. Just a couple of pictures that I pulled from Google. We have like a block print, like a relief print of her, I think with a beard. And she's just stomping the shit out of a demon.
She does have a beard.
Lots of pictures of her just standing on top of a dragon's head. A bunch of ones where she looks super mad, and then she is holding a staff, and then if you look at the bottom of the staff, she's like standing there angrily but not really doing anything, and she's just coincidentally happened to stab a dragon with the end of her
yeah, this didn't faze her at all.
Yeah, just a lot of there are a bunch of pictures also where she's walking the devil on a leash like he's a dog. Like the dragon. Yeah, he like he's like a fussy little puppy, and she's teaching him not to go pee-pee in the house, which is incredibly badass. Just so many. We're gonna post like a million of these on the Instagram, sort of the story on Instagram, but they're all just her, like, there's one of her like sort of like uncomfortably stepping over. She's wearing like a long beautiful dress, and she's stepping over the corpse of a dragon, like, ooh, gross.
Yeah, like she looks back like, oh my God, did I get any of this on my dress? Like, this doesn't look like it phases her the way it should.
Yeah, and then we have her beating the shit out of the devil with a hammer.
I also really,
we have her covered in dragon's blood.
Gorgeous. Oh, the colors.
This one, which unfortunately is extremely gross and racist, probably, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has grabbed the devil by the horns, who appears as, in the story, in the translation, it specifically says like an Ethiopian man, which is like, oh, maybe don't. It's, yeah, through that lens, a huge bummer. But also, there's one where she is sitting down and reading her book, and then it seems like she's just sitting on the dragon, and the dragon's like, ah! It's like when your dog is on the couch and you don't realize it, and you accidentally sit on them.
It's like,
that's what she's doing to the devil.
Its mouth is open, and it's like screaming to the sky. And could not be fake. She is reading a book.
Yeah, and then also
probably the Bible.
Someone posted on Twitter, someone who does a bunch of like cataloging and research within the Catholic Church. They posted a picture of St. Margaret, and they were like, "I want to be her when I grow up." And it's just like a picture of her beating the shit out of someone. And someone responded with a picture of Saint Margaret punching a devil in the face with the caption, "Hail Mary, full of grace, punch the devil in the face."
Oh my God, I want that. Kid, is that I want that.
I know, right?
I want that.
So I absolutely love her. Again, her later iteration is that she showed up to Joan of Arc. The other people who showed up to Joan of Arc were St. Michael, who, you know, the right hand of God, the angel of vengeance, basically, and like holy war and murdering people in the name of God.
Mm-hmm.
And then St. Margaret, who is like, fuck them boys and murdered the dragon.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, but who's St. Catherine? So St. Catherine was a princess, and she was a Christian, and she went to like a neighboring king, I guess, and like walked into his castle and was like, hey, you're an idiot for not being a Christian. And he was like, what? And she's like, you're an idiot for not being a Christian. He's like, okay, I'm going to get all of the best debaters and rhetoricians in my kingdom. And if you can convince even one of them to be a Christian, then I'll convert. And then she convinced all of them.
And she just told them the story of how badass Margaret was.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about a girl who beat the devil with a hammer.
Yeah, and she's just also a badass. She just
Great.
was like, hey men.
Hello?
Yeah.
All you stinky boys.
Yeah.
I smell amazing. Let me tell you about God.
Yep. Yeah, so that's St. Margaret, and I
So
love her a whole
fun.
lot. She's the best. I love her so much.
Okay, now read us your poem.
Oh, Christ. Okay, so this is a poem that I wrote. You can skip through this if you want. I feel really weird reading this, but...
I am also demanding Max read this. Max was just like, I found a poem I wrote, and now this is me demanding, because I want to hear it. I have not heard this yet.
So, copyright me.
But I will be making merch of this entire poem.
So it's called St. Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Maggie blooms like a ripe tomato in summer. Her plump body is swaying in her red silk dress. Aunt Maggie is a mother. Aunt Maggie married Uncle George back when they could still take the town. Back in the days of dragons, they laugh. The jewels on their mantle shudder in the firelight. Your Aunt Maggie used to be a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Maggie is a Christian woman. She wears a cross around her throat and it waves heavy on her shoulders, and she loves the aching. Aunt Maggie is an angel.
Oh.
Yeah, because I just really like the idea of her being the patron saint of pregnant women and like mothers and nurses and everything, but also of murdering dragons and telling men to fuck off.
And being like a cool teen.
Yeah, I love her a lot. Anyways.
That's very fun.
St. Margaret.
That's very fun. I would say I love a good Bible story, but that's not like a Bible story. It's just I love a good saint story.
Yeah.
I really do. There's so many good ones.
I want to know more about the saints, because most of them just, anytime I hear something about a saint, they're like, oh yes, he has a monastery named after him in Wales, and, you know, he's remembered as being a very patient man, and also one time he pulled a giant snake out of the sky and beat it to death with a set of brass knuckles, and then and also he's the patron saint of making a sandwich for yourself in the middle of the night if you're hungry, because it's okay to be hungry in the middle of the night. What the fuck?
Thank you. All right.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so anyways,
St. Margaret, that was sort of the story. I will also say, that's a weird thing that I repeat a lot. I didn't realize I say that so much, but I will also say is how I start with everything. This podcast is ruining me.
You also say, I will say.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like I have to state that I'm about to say something.
You gotta ease people into the idea that you're talking.
Yeah. But I didn't realize I did that at all, and now I think I do it like 10 times per episode. Which makes me wonder, what do I do in just normal conversations? It's really weird.
So what will you say?
I don't know. Hold on. I don't remember.
The saints and...
Oh! Max does a very good job of prefacing everything with, hey, this isn't the Catholic... I'm not talking about Catholics. I am talking about the Catholic Church. And we talk a lot about, like, the beginning of the Catholic Church and how shitty it was that, like, you could commit genocide and become a saint. And that's, like, really... Mm-hmm. But it's not a commentary on Catholic people today. I do a bad job at that because I grew up Catholic, and I also, again, loved my upbringing in the Catholic Church. My whole family is still very Catholic. And so when I talk shit about Catholicism, it's coming from a pretty loving place, but also I'm like, I've fought the good fight. I don't know. I feel like I could talk about it. And so I do have to preface with, I am very bad about talking shit. But also that's what I do anyway with literally everything. So, It's okay if you're offended, but just know I have nothing but love for my upbringing in the Catholic Church. But I've got a lot of commentary and criticism as well.
Yep.
Coming from inside the house. So
busting out of the inside of the dragon that is the Catholic Church.
Oh my god. Again, my saint was Therese of Lisieux, and I love Therese of Lisieux. She was God's little flower. And
Can you say that a couple more times?
Therese of Lisieux. It's pretty good. But Therese of Lisieux was God's little flower, and her whole thing was like, it's okay if I'm never famous. Like, all of the flowers in the garden, most of them will never be seen by human eyes. They're for God's enjoyment. And I really liked that. But I could have been Saint Margaret. I could have been a 15-year-old who beat the shit out of a dragon and stepped on the devil's neck.
Amazing.
Oh, God, I was robbed.
Really? Seriously?
Okay, well, if you are up for confirmation and you're wondering what saint to be and you choose Saint Margaret, can you give us a shout out? Can you can you email us at sortofthestory@gmail.com and let us know?
That's our real email address. That's not part of the bit.
That's a real thing now. I made an email.
If you want to send us an email.
If you're Catholic and you actually did have a really cool confirmation saint, can you also let me know that?
Yeah.
I just want to know that you guys had a better education than I did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, we love you.
I love you. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye. We should get you a baby Bjorn for the cat.
So I can just carry him with me. He'll fall asleep in it. I don't want that. He doesn't deserve to sleep. I can't sleep. He can't sleep. Trying to sleep train this cat.